every single week we make sure to go into it right around Sunday or Monday, and we just sit down, whether it's the dinner table or the couch, whatever, and we just take a look at our calendars, make sure that we're aligned and that our goals and dreams are in the calendar before any other obligations come into the equation.
Welcome to the Midweek Motivation Podcast, where we bring practical help for your faith and life. Here's today's episode.
Hi, guys. My name is Jess, and I'm one of the pastors at Westside, and I just wanted to welcome you to this week's Midweek Motivation. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year,
yes. Yeah. So in the new year, our focus for the next couple of weeks is the best year ever, like how we can have the best year ever. And we're talking about schedules this week, which personally is something that I have not mastered yet. But you guys are in a really unique place because you have just gotten married. And I know that you guys are both powerhouse people. You like to really live life on purpose and have high impact. But I would imagine that your priorities have shifted now after becoming married and stuff. And so I'm just curious how you guys are tackling your calendar, your schedule.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that we do to tackle our schedule, our calendar, is we make sure to plan our week at the start of the week. So every single week we make sure to go into it right around Sunday or Monday, and we just sit down, whether it's the dinner table or the couch, whatever, and we just take a look at our calendars, make sure that we're aligned and that our goals and dreams are in the calendar before any other obligations come into the equation. So that's normally how we start our week, and that has been really important to us because we do a lot, and being aligned on that, and certain weeks are really, really busy for me, and being really proactive about communication in that is really important in our marriage, of course. So that's been a big one, is just starting our week, planning together and getting aligned, and also starting our week in our plan and getting those big rocks in first. The big, what are the mountain movers that are going to move us towards our goals professionally, personally, in our marriage, and for the church and so on. So that's been a huge one, is starting the week planning.
Yeah, and I think it's important because sometimes, like, I'll be aware of events happening, like, oh, there's a family party happening on Friday, but it never gets to Caleb. Yeah. So we make sure that I'm like, by the way, we're going to, like, this person's house for dinner on Friday, so that he can put it in his calendar and, like, block out that time so he doesn't overbook, because that has happened before. Or there will be things going on for him that I don't know about. So it's just good because we both kind of have like different calendars. So sometimes things will get on his calendar that don't get on mine. So it's a good starting point in the week to make sure our calendars look the same for the whole week. Yeah. Which is nice.
I think it's good to be super transparent about it. So, like, that's one approach we've had, is she has my calendar on her phone. Yeah. Like, so anytime especially because she's a lot of the time going to book social events. Yeah. So if that's to happen, she just, that works for both of us, like, right there.
Nice. Or if I'm like, what's Caleb doing right now? Because I'm nosy. I'll check and be like, oh, he's in a meeting. Yeah. But yeah, people will be like, can you guys do lunch on Thursday? And I'll check, because I have his calendar on my phone. Be like, yeah, he's free, I'm free. So that's nice, so I think
transparency is a big one, and just sharing with the people that are important to you, even if it's your family or if it's your wife or husband. Yeah. Anyone that needs your calendar, I think maybe some people don't want to share it. I'm totally fine with that. So I like to just be like, here it is, so that you know.
So, I like to be very organized too. So I like having his calendar, my calendar, and then we kind of have like a combined list of the things going on. So that's nice.
We were having a conversation earlier. I was telling Caleb that we were having a conversation earlier, and Maria, you were talking about, I'm used to taking all of these things on because this is what I'm good at. Yep. So that's kind of a nice thing to know too, between the two of you planning together is it sounds like, Maria, you're the like organizer.
Admin.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And just passing off each other's strengths in our calendar. Like, I don't know, if there's certain things we know that she's better at, then like, oh, she's really good at booking a time with friends, then go for it. Or if I'm better at certain things, then we'll make sure that we're just a team in those things.
I'll get texts from you being like, what am I doing tomorrow? And I'll look at your calendar and I'll let you know.
That's awesome. I know. I need that in my life. Caleb, you said something about making sure that, like, your big, like, life goals and dreams make it in there. How do you guys have conversations about that in your planning? Yeah,
so I use a planner, and in that I organize all my work for the week, of course. So I always start with what's called the weekly review and the full focus planner. And in that, I'm able to just look at, okay, if my 2025 goals or my 5-year, 10-year goals are this, then what am I doing this week to move those forward? What are the big 3 of this week?
Yeah.
And we often do that in the same room. So if I have something I want to share, I'll just share it. And so I'll put those in first, and I plan out just what are those big goals and dreams, because what can happen a lot of time is if you don't put in your goals, your dreams, and things you want to do that week to get towards them, you're just flying by the wayside. Like you're literally waiting for other people to put their goals and dreams for you into your life, and then now you're living a life not on purpose,
right?
For your goals and dreams and your things that you've talked to God about. And now you're just living a life at the mercy of everyone else's plan for you. Yeah. And it's really easy to let that happen if you don't be really diligent about going, no, I got to do these 3 things. These are my big 3. Here's the few things that come along with that. Yeah. And getting those done and scheduled in first is so important.
Awesome.
To moving forward in life. Yeah.
Yeah. My husband and I do something similar. I'm the dreamer and the goal, achiever, I guess, or organizer in our family. And so we have that conversation. Hey, what are big vacations? We need to get those on the calendar right now.
I've been doing
and
that.
booked them out. Yeah.
2025, I've literally been like, here are my 3 goals for the year where we want to go. And he's kind of like, just do whatever you want. Like he's more like, I trust you.
Yeah,
as
with
long
the
as it's
vacations, I'm like, do your thing.
$8,000 vacation. But I'm not the same way.
So Caleb, you talked about figuring out what your big rocks are. And one of the things that Pastor Gabe, your dad, talked about on Sunday was this grid here, which I love. It's a hugely valuable tool to kind of determine, what your big rocks are.
Yeah.
Does this resonate to you guys? Have you guys been able to look at it and figured out what your gold mines are and throw away some thoughtless stuff maybe?
Yeah. Yes. So if you didn't watch Sunday's message, it was fantastic. Make sure to go back and watch that. This tool was used in Sunday's message, and it was fantastic because it really is a filter in which we can look at our schedule, our tasks, our events, and so on, and then make sure to prioritize and weigh our options via something like this. So how it works is this, because I know you probably can't see it super clearly, and if you're listening, you definitely can't see it. So what it is it's there's 4 buckets, and there's 2 labels on each side on the X and Y axis. And if something is lasting but it's not loving, it is harmful. If it's not lasting and it's not loving, it's thoughtless. Yeah. If it's loving but it's not lasting, it's temporary. And if it's loving and it's lasting, it's gold mine. And that is so fantastic because you really can filter things through that. And what you want is a life in gold mine. Imagine a life where everything you're doing is loving and lasting. That is a beautiful life. And this is based on something also called the Eisenhower Matrix, if you've ever heard of that, or if you're like a time nerd like I am, or a productivity nerd like I am. It's based on that, but with different labels and different ways of thinking about it. Yeah.
And you can actually do an audit of your time and take every hour or 15 minutes or whatever that you want to do and take each one of those things and filter it through this grid and be able to tell whether or not it's something that's valuable in your schedule or needs to go.
See if you have a gold mine life.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so if we're looking at this through the lens of our calendars, when I look at my time, if we break down our schedule or our calendar, whatever, and one of the things that we've been challenged to do is to do a time audit in 15-minute intervals.
That's on the staff,
Yeah, that's, I'm not looking forward to that. But for me, the very first thing that I would put in this thoughtless category would be how much time I scroll on Facebook.
Yeah.
There is some purposeful social media interaction that's really valuable. If I'm doing research or whatever, but when I'm just or when I'm posting memories or when I'm interacting with people that I care about, that's all that can be gold mine stuff.
Totally.
But when I'm just scrolling mindlessly over the same things over and over again, or watching random videos or whatever, that's thoughtless. Like there's no benefit to that. I'm just distracting and wasting life. But you guys talked a little bit about some of the stuff that you had to kind of filter through and decide, this is great stuff, but we're going to have to like scale back on it.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about that as it pertains to this thing, like how you would use it?
Yeah.
I think one thing that comes to mind when going off of our calendar is we prioritize, since we got married, we moved out of our houses. And for us, it's a really big priority to still make sure we spend time with our families. So we have dinners with our families every week. And I think that for us is goldmine because we love it. And it's like a lasting, it's good time spent. So Tuesday nights, we go over to Gabe and Melissa's house and we have dinner with them pretty much every week. It's just become routine. Like Caitlin and Tiffany come down from Portland and we do it every week. And then Monday nights, we go either to my family's house and have dinner there or they come to our house because I love to host. So it's making sure that every week we're still prioritizing our time with our family. So then that's like, I would say it's a goldmine activity. And then I would agree with you for the thoughtless ones. I spend so much time on TikTok and Instagram. It's kind of like bad because it's my like relaxation. It's my way to relax. But lately I've found other ways to relax. I love painting. I've been painting watercolors. I've been painting with watercolors every night, which is way better for you than scrolling on social media. And my brother got me for Christmas like a coloring book. So I've been coloring, like finding other ways to spend my time that aren't thoughtless. Because do you remember any of the TikToks I watched, or do I remember any of the TikToks I watched a week ago? I do not at all.
Or they're real negative, to be honest. Like,
I've gotten like, sometimes I'll be watching TikTok and I turn it off feeling worse than when I turned it on. Like, I'm so tired, I need to like just watch TikTok. Then I watch TikTok and watch a bunch of like not great things, and I'm like, well, now I feel worse. Now I need to do something else. So it's just like, it's definitely a thoughtless task for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I would totally agree with those two because that was like spend time with family, spend
and of course
time
our work.
Work, church, and then thoughtless is of course things like social media. I think interestingly enough, the things that we had to be decisive on to go every other week, it's definitely goldmine. But the thing is, in a certain way, it wasn't because it had no longevity in our schedule of our lives due to prioritization of needing to prioritize our marriage. And that's where it lacked a little bit on lasting. It was very loving, so it meant it was temporary. And it was like, if we did as much as we were doing it, it wasn't lasting because it would have just started to burn us out. So that's an example of temporary that I can think of.
I love that. I love that you can look at that and be like, really, it is goldmine, because you're right. Like you got to have your community and your people around you, even to have a successful marriage. But your relationship does have to come above that. And then you've got to be strategic about how you surround yourself, by people who can encourage you and stuff. So that's excellent. I love it.
And we still make a priority throughout our weeks too to hang out with those people because my best friends and family are within the church. Same for you. So it's nice because growth groups was one of the way to see them. But also it could be like, hey, let's go get dessert. Like the other night we went to dessert with some of our friends. So it's just prioritizing it in other ways that aren't so like kind of taking up big chunks of the schedule when we need that for ourselves.
That's great. I love it. So as you guys have combined your calendars and, all of your stuff, what are some of the challenges that you guys have run into and how have you addressed those?
So one of the first challenges we noticed was right when we got back from our honeymoon, because obviously like the wedding week was crazy and it was all about the wedding. And then we had like a couple of days in between the wedding and the honeymoon where again, it was super busy and filled with like seeing all the out of town family and making sure that we were seeing everybody before they leave. And then we went on our honeymoon. And of course that was just like vacation for the week. So we get back and then it's like reality like hits us. And before we got married, we were kind of just like keeping busy. Like every night we kind of had like a growth group or some sort of dinner. And then I remember we were like laying in bed like, we have no nights at home this week. And like we just got married. And I was like, I want to be able to cook dinner and I want to just sit on the couch and watch a show and not have to do anything. But every single night that week, we either had a growth group or we had a dinner with family or we had like some work to do that we had like scheduled. So we're like, we need to figure out how to like take things off our plate just a little bit, which was hard because we were super committed to all the things we had all those nights. So we kind of had to find a routine instead of like dropping certain things. We kind of started moving like every other week or alternating nights on certain nights. Like we had 2 groups we really liked going to, but again, they're like one after the other. So we're like trying to get into an every other week rhythm. That way we have more nights at home because I really love like cooking and just having a chill night without having to like get up and go somewhere. And of course life happens, but it's nice that we try to prioritize having dinners at home. So that was definitely one of our first like struggles when we first got married was like, oh shoot, like because before we got married,
two calendar or 2 schedules like combining. That's
it was
double.
super busy. And that was definitely not something, especially like our first month. I was like, I just want to like settle in the house, like get our house set up, get our like, I don't know, just stay together for a while. Now, especially through the holidays, was really busy. But we've gotten into a bit more of like a routine now that I don't feel like feel like that's a problem for us anymore.
Yeah, I would agree.
So that's awesome. Prioritizing, like deciding what are the big things, especially newly married. Like you want to make sure that you're spending your time together and developing that. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, because we, like you said, we loved all the things we were doing, and that was the hard part. It was like we love everything that we're doing and all these things that we're attending. Yeah, but we have no sense of like
there was not enough days of the week. Like we needed a couple extra days.
Yeah. So it meant sacrificing certain things that we love for the things that we really cherish, which was of course our marriage thriving.
Absolutely.
And if we're constantly,
and people understood.
And people did understand. And that was of course the hard part of it was like, oh shoot, if we make this call to do every other week or to say no to this certain thing, it's just, it's going to be such a big deal. But everyone's more understanding oftentimes than you think they're going to be. So I think saying no to the wrong things or saying no for the things that also matter over here, it's important to make those calls.
Agreed. Yeah, that's good stuff. Cool. Okay, well, so what has learning to manage your calendar better, like, done for you guys? How has that helped you guys? Like, even before getting married, like, you know what I mean? Because both of you guys have been really... Like, it's important to you.
Totally.
Yeah, I would say for me, learning to manage your calendar and really just your schedule as a person, learning how to prioritize, learning how to work effectively and be transparent about communication. I think all of that is under kind of that calendar bucket. Yeah. And it's helped me just reach insane goals that if I just kind of lived and just like let things happen and just, I'll randomly do work here. Maybe we'll hang out at this time. You would not reach certain goals or have thriving relationships as effectively, I think, if you're not good at that stuff. Like if you don't prioritize actually sitting down and taking time to be intentional and actually live intentionally and actually schedule out events and things like that. Because it's really easy to double book. It's really easy to forget about something. And that can cause problems a lot of times. Yeah. And then when you're really good at it, it creates a fantastic thing because then you know what you're doing and you put in that buffer time where you're able to actually breathe and you don't overbook yourself, and you learn that over time too. But I think it's helped me reach crazy goals, whether it's Westside, whether it's business, whether it's marriage, whether it's friendships and family. I think it really helps you prioritize and be intentional. And that's what I'd say it's really helped me with, is just reaching another level of living, really. Yeah. And being really intentional in that.
Yeah. What I hear you say, I hear you say a couple of things in that. I hear you say that people, it also impacts the way that people see you. Like you're dependable because you're not double booking yourself. Yeah. Like you're prioritizing so that people in your life feel cared for and loved and all that kind of stuff. I heard a couple of things in there that are really great that sound like they just kind of inherently are a part of like the positives of managing your calendar that are things that people experience about you from the outside. So it's not only just benefiting you, but it's also benefiting your relationships and the way that people perceive you and your reliability and all that too. That's great.
Definitely, yeah.
I love it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think for me, managing my calendar is super important because like I said, I'm super organized and I have to see things. I can't just know like, oh yeah, that later in the week I'm doing this. Like I need to have it written down and I need to be able to go look at my calendar app and see the little dots of when I have things happening. And Caleb and my family knows this, that I will explain my day over and over and over again. Like I'll tell my dad, I'll be like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to the store with this person, then I have to go to the church and work and this and that and that. Because I have to I don't know, I like to just be super clear about what I'm doing. Or I'll tell Caleb, tomorrow we have a lunch and then we have this and then we're going to dinner at your mom's house. But then I still get asked, what are we doing tomorrow night? And I'm like, I told you 3 times now. Because I will over-explain because it's more for me to make sure that I'm aware of what's going on, but also so that he knows.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing, what are we doing tomorrow night again? I know this off the top of my head now, but it's really important for me. And like you said, scheduling things to get them done. Because how many times you're like, oh, I'd love to get to that eventually. And then you never do. Or oh, I really need to get to the store and buy a gift for the birthday party or whatever. And then it's the day before the birthday party and you're like, oh, I never got a gift. Yeah. So I like to be okay, today I'm going out to get a gift. And that's because I need to do that, So scheduling things to make sure they get done. And he told me that too, because I'm oh, I have so many things I need to do and I just feel like I'm not finding the time. And he's like, well, did you put it on your calendar? I was like, no. Yeah. So then I started kind of putting on my calendar, from this hour to this hour, I'm working on church work or I'm texting parents or doing whatever. Yeah. That way it's that's my time for that. And then this hour to this hour, I'm going shopping for groceries or whatever to make sure all the things I need to get done because I prioritized and put times to the, or specific times of the day to the tasks.
Yeah. That's great. And so I hear peace of mind in that. No clutter and frustration or things sneaking up on you kind of a thing.
Yeah. And they do still sneak up on me. But
Sure.
I like to keep them very organized.
I think a way I've noticed to put it into analogy is when you schedule your week or you have, it all planned out, you have a filter in which other things can then fall through because you took the time, again, to be intentional and plan your priorities and plan the things that you're doing for us as a couple. And there's these certain obligations and these things I'm doing to move towards my goal. Without that, it's really disorganized.
Yeah.
And you don't know when you're walking, when you go to a growth group on Tuesday and someone invites you to a certain friend hangout, you don't know if you can say yes or no to that because you don't know. You don't know if you have the time. You might not. Yeah. And by knowing, because you can just pull it up, right? Or you already planned it in your planner or whatever way you like to plan, you can then be like, oh yeah, I do have the time for that. You know what? Oh, I can move that thing actually because I have time on Thursday, right? Because you already have that filter in you to then know what to say yes or no to going throughout instead of just yeah or no, I don't think I have the time. No, I don't think I have the time. You know exactly, and you know because you already have it planned. So
and that does happen too. Is people I love spontaneous things. So hey, do you guys want to go get dessert tonight? Or things it's not it's oh, it wasn't on my calendar, so no.
Right.
It's oh, for sure. We do move things around. Like we were saying, we like to have our calendar super set, but there's also a healthy balance. Oh, I can move that around. Or oh yeah, I am open tonight and whatever. Because,
And there's a healthy balance of not overly scheduling your calendar. I think it can be really easy to, well, my dad said this on Sunday. Sometimes, and this can happen to me too, I will schedule overly because there's a sense of purpose in that. Oh, I'm booked up, And what I've noticed is there is a healthy balance of just having a block where there is not something there.
Yeah. Just white space.
Because there's a saying that I heard that I love, and this was actually from Steve Barker, and I'm paraphrasing it, but Steve Barker got it, I believe, from a book. And it was, a fire can't roar without room.
Yeah.
The fire's not going to be able to breathe and actually roar if it has every single bit of the fire has a piece of wood in it.
Yeah.
Like you need, for you to be the best version of you, you need to have some breathing room.
Yeah.
And some white space in your calendar.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you guys and your time. I think that you're both fantastic and inspirational. You manage your calendars way better than I manage mine.
Thank you.
It's so cool to see you guys and to work with you. And thank you for being so open and transparent about what it is that you've got going on. I think that's great. So thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Midweek Motivation. To make sure you don't miss any content in the future, please subscribe, share, and if you enjoyed this, give us a like, and consider popping by a Westside service some weekend. You can find out more at westsidecommunitychurch.com.